I'm so sorry that I wasn't really there for me. Cause nobody else is showing any empathy. Rudely awake and quite undertaken. Did I do something wrong? Life isn't easy. Why did you leave me here with my thoughts alone? I don't wanna wake up messed up, cause I can't spend another day like this. Another type of caked up breakup, where I've been finding any way to my fix. But I know I need you now, cause I don't wanna be around. No, I don't wanna wake up messed up. There's gotta be another way past this. I'm so sorry that I didn't go to therapy, thinking everybody, even you's an enemy. Brutally awake and quite undertaken. Did not do nothing wrong. Life isn't easy. Why did you leave me here to get drunk alone? And I don't wanna wake up messed up, cause I can't spend another day like this. Another type of caked up breakup, where I've been finding any way to my fix. But I know I need you now, cause I don't wanna be around. No, I don't wanna wake up messed up. There's gotta be another way past this. If I am so wrong and so gone, miserable, won't you stick around just for some be visible? But you don't, no you don't care. Leave me to suffer, erase all the doubt. Pouring Jack in my mouth, and a love with enough of the pain and the drugs to be present for now. But I'm right now, I don't wanna wake up messed up, cause I can't spend another day like this. Another type of caked up breakup, where I've been finding any way to my fix. But I know I need you now, cause I don't wanna be around. No, I don't wanna wake up messed up. There's gotta be another way past this.
I can't pretend to like you. I hope you feel the same. I take a chance and not lose. I can't pretend to like you. It's just I never thought you were sitting next to me. I don't understand. It's just I never seen you smile. You wanna make out, give me a second. It's just you never talk, I never listen. When do we fall in love? Make up your mind, honey, cause I can't pretend to like you. I hope you feel the same. I take a chance and not lose. I can't pretend to like you. I can't pretend to like you. I hope you feel the same. I take a chance and not lose. I can't pretend to like you. You need a friend. I can't help this time. I'm in trouble. It's your eyes, I can't seem to focus. It doesn't matter cause you live a lie. You want attention from every guy in the park, but when you call, I give you my heart, you rip it out. I can't pretend to like you. I hope you feel the same. I take a chance and not lose. I can't pretend to like you. I can't pretend to like you. I hope you feel
You and I, we've been friends for a long time now. Always have a good time whenever we go out. But you've been calling me up all the time and sending me signs and giving me them eyes. And you've been saying that you found the one, texting me junk and you wanna talk, but you can't say why. I can't get there and you know I've tried. You know I don't wanna waste your time. City lights, I'm looking in your eyes, but I can't say why. It doesn't feel right to call you mine. You know I don't wanna waste your time. I can't get there and you know I've tried, but I can't say why. Feeling lost like I just wanna time back time. I'm choked up, tell me how do I say this right? Cause you've been calling me up all the time and sending me signs and giving me them eyes. And you've been saying that you found the one, texting me drunk and you wanna talk, but you can't say why. I can't get there and you know I've tried. You know I don't wanna waste your time. City lights, I'm looking in your eyes, but I can't say why. Doesn't feel right to call you mine. You know I don't wanna waste your time. I can't get there and you know I've tried, but I can't say why. Can't get there and you know I've tried. You know I don't wanna waste your time. City lights, I'm looking in your eyes, but I can't say why. Doesn't feel right to call you mine. You know I don't wanna waste your time. I can't get there and you know I've tried, but I can't say why. Yeah. Let's talk. Look, ayo, we rose from the dust to the sun. They claiming that we the one, never one-on-one. Teamwork till we done. Sent on a mission, we got ambition. Never scared, we won't run. Never one and done. Some sit back and some like to hunt. I pick my teammates up when they fall. And if I ball, we all ball. Crashing balls, crossovers and all. Just call us the balls. Don't fear nothing, call us galore. Serving them all. We outside, we barely indoors because we gave it everything when we had nothing. Gave it everything when we had nothing. Holding on by a thread, couldn't grab nothing. Seems we moved on to a better place. Shine away from the shade. But now that we're here, ain't no going back. This is the moment to go. This is the moment to shine. This is the moment to show. Show me the rocks you could climb. This is the moment to feel the path like you legally blind. I can promise this is ours cause we built for this, kill for this. Pushing buttons, do it quick, push it off and do assist. Oh, y'all think we new to this? Pound for pound, break it down. Watch what we gon' do with this. Teamwork got us fluid with. Make y'all look like sewages. Gave it everything when we had nothing. Gave it everything when we had nothing. Holding on by a thread, couldn't grab nothing. Seems we moved on to a better place. Shine away from the shade. But now that we're here, ain't no going back.
Sarah, I hurt myself today trying to make the pain go away. Sarah, I want to fade away, be with the stars in outer space. You come and you go. You take me high, you take me low. But I don't know how to do this on my own anymore. Oh no, now it's my leave for the melancholy. Couldn't fill a hole inside me. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. Now it's Xannies till I numb my psyche. Cocaine just to feel my heartbeat. Nothing to lose, nothing to gain. Sarah, I lost myself today trying to find ways to make you stay. Sarah, I want to go away, close my eyes, never wake up again. You come and you go. You take me high, you take me low. But I don't know how to do this on my own anymore. Oh no, now it's Molly for the melancholy. Cody, fill a hole inside me. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. Now it's Xannies till I numb my psyche. Cocaine just to feel my heartbeat. Nothing to lose, nothing to gain. Sarah.
Look into your eyes, I see the colors of your soul, and I recognize every single line, every single roadblock. We are two hearts that beat in time, and the tide was looking down all night, blocking out the sun that we need. Maybe we can change our stripes and colors. You're the only one I see, and I take it all or nothing at all. Driving through the night till I met your door. Go outside, stay up all night, and I take it all or nothing at all. Driving through the night till I met your door. Go outside, stay up all night, sleep through the sunrise. Into my past and I count the numbers of the dreams that I left behind. I don't even care now that I've discovered a new kind of peace of mind. Up above us, looking down on us, there's an angel I know. We don't need to worry or discuss much. It's time for me to hit the road. I'll take it all or nothing at all. Driving through the night till I met your door. Go outside, stay up all night, sleep through the sunrise. Stay up all night, and I take it all or nothing at all. Driving through the night till I'm at your door. Go outside, stay up all night, sleep through the sunrise. See
Before we jump into the next one, here's a quick reminder for all of you mobile gamers out there. The ESL Mobile Open is just around the corner, so head over to Twitter right now and get all of those details. Tell your friends, build a team, and earn a spot in the finals.
Feel the light, see the stage, hear the vibe. Pumped up to get ready for the fight. Big dreams, one chance, be the star. I'm the winner coming out of the dark.
Step out as a motivator. Let them know that the weight's up. That's how we know when we level up. Hey, that's how we know when we level up.
Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? It's time, get up.
Back against the wall, still I'm standing tall. Know about the ball, I got my fan with me. That's how we know when we level up. Yeah, that's how we know when we level up.
Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. It's time, get up.
Well, hello, how are you? Welcome to the very first Wild Rift Oceanic Championships, as we'll be looking to find ourselves the very first champion. Looking to try and find those emerging stars, and looking to try and explore a new title. My name is Skimmy, I'm joined by my partner in crime here in Jubes, and mate, I mean, how cool is it that we get to, you know, dip our feet into the water and try something different here?
Ah, it's good, but it's even better to see you. Good to be here, excited for some Wild Rift, and I can't wait to see what the teams have to offer us, right? And who's going to make their name? Who's going to really establish themselves as one of the big dogs in this league?
Yeah, Season 1, a big chance for these teams and for these players to project some of their personality and see who can come out on top. As we look to see what those 16 teams are that will be competing here tonight, they had to play across multiple qualifiers, 4 weeks of those open qualifiers to qualify and make it here today. So let's bring up those teams now and see what they are, and sort of list you through some of the teams to watch, you'd have to say, because there's a few that has a very strong run to get here. We'll get to see the likes of Jacuzzi Dogs and Kraken Esports Club that has a fair few fans behind them, but across the board, you've got a few people here that'll be really looking to try and get themselves to that top position, because after 4 weeks of regular play here, we will have a champion, and that champion will get the chance, Jubes, to play internationally.
And that's every player's dream, right? You know, you always want the glory, and the glory at times is always, you know, the international or you know, overseas, whatever it may be. So some of the names given on these teams are fantastic as well, I will say. Yeah, like big fan of the Jacuzzi Dogs, right? Very big chance to have, you know, the logo, literally dogs in jacuzzis.
I mean, it could be, honestly, like we're looking at a lot of these teams coming into this one, as you say, making a name for themselves. But I think the logos are definitely going to be a one that's going to catch our eyes at this early stage of this one, to try and see, you know, which one the fans at home should be cheering on for. So let's bring up the schedule. Those are the teams that will be in the mix for tonight and across the next 4 weeks of play. But the schedule, we have ourselves 5 rounds of action. And it all starts there with the Jacuzzi Dogs taking on the Kraken Esports Club. 5 rounds of action. They're all going to be best of 3s as well. And this matchup in particular is the one that we will be following on the stream. There will be other action, or other matches, I should say, happening off stream as well. And we can bring that up in a second. But that is how round 1 is going to look, as we can see what those other matches will be off stream. But it's worth noting that we won't be able to jump into those other rounds until every game that you see here has been completed. So without knowing too much about these teams, we've obviously had the open qualifiers, and you can sort of deduce what you want from some of their records there. We're going into this one a little bit blind. As you say, a brand new game, a brand new opportunity for a lot of these players to, you know, put themselves in those shoes. And, you know, by the end of this day, we had 16. We're only going to have 8.
Yeah, and I mean, the beauty about these tournaments, and when something like this comes up, it's that, like we've kind of touched on, yeah, there's no expectations, there's no reputations, there's none of that, but it's a chance to really, in round 1, consolidate yourself as the team to beat, right? You know, the players to really be feared, because in a best of 3, you really want to come up and have teams fear who they're playing, right? Because they've seen you play, you know, you got really good players, some good mechanics, good macro, and I think that's where you can really establish yourself, Skimmy.
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, we see the format, best of 3, just gives you that bit of chance, right, to flex your strengths, be it in draft and in gameplay, and sort of what you can offer, be it the micro, the macro, or anything in between. We'll get to see, as you can see, the matchup here. Those are your logos. You mentioned before, Jude,
Yeah.
Jacuzzi dogs, they look a little bit angry, perhaps because there is no Jacuzzi there.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a good logo. Well, let's put that in. I actually really like the logo. Both logos, to be honest, very clean. So Jacuzzi Dogs versus Kraken Esports Club, taking this very seriously, right? And it just looks very professional.
It does. It certainly does. And what also looks professional is this lineup. Those are your 5 members ready to rock and roll here tonight. Jacuzzi Dogs will be the favourites, given that they had an undefeated run in the very first Open qualifier at the start of July. They were the team to beat. They've already actually gone up against the Kraken Esports squad and taken them out 2-0 as well. So it's going to be a bit of a rematch, a bit of vengeance perhaps, to try and say that was the qualifier to get here, but maybe we can just knock you out.
Yeah, 100%. And undefeated is obviously, that's going to be playing on every team's mind. I mean, they haven't lost yet, but we got Kraken Esports Club on this side of the coin, and another team to keep your eye on, right? You'd have to say that's the whispers that we're hearing, at least, right? They're a team that's you know, got a lot of talent, and they just really need to bring it together on game day. Obviously, Kite in the Wind, Hunt, Dusk, Fake Hunt, and I'm gonna say it's Voltage with the 7, but. Yeah, Skibby, a lot to be excited about. And I mean, I think this is just going to be a really big first game. A really exciting game between, again, if I have to go out on a limb, maybe the 2 strongest teams.
Yeah, and I mean, there is no seeding, as it was an open qualifier to make it here today. So given that it is a Swiss format, 5 rounds of gameplay, not everybody's going to get a chance to verse each other, but it's essentially a case of how strong were those 5 games of performances, right? You know, did you get yourself the strongest win-loss streak to guarantee that you progress on through to next week, where we're already going to be losing half of these teams? You mentioned there already, looking like 2 of the major favourites here. As we mentioned, Jacuzzi Dogs came into that first qualifier as the first seed, taking all the glory. And having defeated Kraken Esports Club, they ended up getting the final spot and finishing in 4th. So, as you mentioned, should be a bit of a banger in that regard for vengeance and a chance to sort of showcase what they've learned between then and now, given so much time has passed. And, well, I mean, we're just keen to jump on into the action. Those are your 2 rosters, those are your 2 lineups. And those are the stakes, because as we say, the ultimate prize that we're playing for over the next month of gameplay is a chance to play internationally. Jooms, you've had your fair share of international experience in the past, right? And I think there's nothing better than, you know, getting out of Oceania and proving yourself to the wide audience.
Well, it's actually, you know, whatever you go on to do, it's the most memorable things that it's memories that you create. I mean, I'm sure, you know, if I ever have grandkids one day, or if I ever get old enough, it's a story. It's stories that you tell and you pass on to generations. So I mean, it's quite a big deal, right? And I guess the volatile thing is the format, in the sense that you have to win. Right? It's not like a regular season game where you get to play and you get to, you know, scrape into playoffs. At the end of the day, you have to win, Skimmy, as we head into Champions League.
Not going to be as many second chances as they would have hoped for, right? It really is a bit of a do-or-die situation already so early on into this setup. So here we go, very first game of the OS Wild Rift Championships. It's going to be Kraken Esports on the blue side with Jacuzzi Dogs on the right side, and it's going to give us a bit of a chance now to profile these teams, right? What are they playing? What is their strengths? Who are the one tricks? You know, who has a little bit of a trick up their sleeve?
What are their priorities, right, in terms of Champions League? We can see very early on Lee Sin, Gragas, and Yasuo being taken away. Famously, obviously, the Gragas and Yasuo combo, no one really wants to be dealing with that. I know you get the knock-up from pretty much the body slam or the ultimate, and then if you get knocked up by that, you're as good as dead. So taking those 2 away early, Skimmy, and then the Master Yi, the Teemo, and the Singed from the Jacuzzi Dogs.
Wild, isn't it? Really is. Those are sort of champions that you don't see too often, but maybe just a bit of a pest. Perhaps Kraken Esports players have a few goblins on their team that are really proficient at those particular champions and just don't want to have to deal with it. As we do see, though, it's going to be a first pick towards the Corki. Jacuzzi responded back here with the Lucian and the Nami, so plenty of on-hit damage there to be very aggressive in those early trading patterns. But Kraken straight away responding with the Wukong and the Galio.
Well, you can already see what Kraken Esports are kind of cooking up here, you know, with the CC that they have on their team now, with the Wukong, with the Galio. Obviously, Corki doesn't come with a lot of CC, comes with a lot of damage though, right, when you get to those items and those breakpoints. So we have to keep our eyes on this Corki in particular, but then there's so many ways to start a fight for Kraken, and I mean, now they've just added a reset to the mix.
So we have, as they've already completed their composition, and it looks to be a bit of a hyper carry Jinx is what we're going to have served up on the menu here today, with the Jinx and the Lucy Dogs have opted for a little bit of macro to try and match this Galio though. They've gone for the Twisted Fate, so we'll get to see what these lane matchups do finalize to really come to fruition as. But I'm seeing Jacuzzi Dogs look to have a bit of wombo combo potential there, and you know, you're looking at the Jarvan, you're looking at the Renekton, definitely keen for a scrap.
Well, I mean, we look at both compositions, right? You look at the composition with the Jacuzzi Dogs, with the Twisted Fate, with the Renekton, the Jarvan. Like you said, they're going to want to play the macro a little bit more. You don't really want to grab the Twisted Fate and just team fight. You can do it. You just play on the gold cards and you kite back, and you eventually you're trying to get to the right targets. But I mean, if you're team fighting into the Galio, into the Wukong, into the Lulu, into the Jinx, like there's just too many answers. So I guess we're kind of seeing maybe a polarization of playstyles, right? One team wants to play the map, maybe play to the side lane a little bit more, and then one team just wants to get, 5v5, let's group up, fight those objectives, get those team fights going. And so maybe that's what we'll see from these teams in this best of 3.
Here we go. First game of the best of 3, and two very different styles, as you've highlighted. One side looking to try and go for that early aggression to try and get the ball rolling. The opposite side looking for a little bit of that late game strength with the champions like Jinx and Corki that can look to try and be the deal breaker and the game sealer to try and get the ball running to start off your championship. And here we go into the action for the very first time here, and we'll get to see what these teams truly are made of.
Yeah, for sure, and probably not going to see much action in the mid lane, right? It's just going to be a little bit of a farm lane. Dusk is very happy to just get the creeps and scale into this game, where Varsity is probably going to feel a little bit more pressure to do stuff. Maybe it's a level 3, level 4 roam into a side lane. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that mid lane when we can.
Yeah, going to be very exciting, isn't it? It's not going to be the Galio matching him in that regard. It's going to be a Galio top lane, which should be quite exciting. So his ability to try and hit those grand entrances elsewhere on the map and look to try and be an influence, it's going to be a tall order for him. Might have to see exactly where Wukong decides to show his attention towards. But right now, both going to be looking to try and get those double buffs as quickly as possible. Potentially a little discussion as to who goes for those scuttle crabs. And then we might start to see the first blood.
The thing that you'd have to consider in this topside matchup too is Kite in the wins probably drafted a little more for composition than he has lane, right? He has the Wukong, and he doesn't want Wukong to be that primary source of engage. He's kind of, the Galio wants to be secondary, be able to follow up on the engage. So you're drafting more for composition than you are lane. So Turn It Off is going to have a pretty good time in the early levels in that lane, as we see he's already getting priority. What does he do with the priority though? That's the question. Are we going to see him trying to deny Scuttle Crabs walk into river? Because if he wants, he could try and fight Wukong off that crab, but he's actually picked that one up already. So Hunt level 4. Jungler's looking mid.
Certainly are. Both have gone for the gentleman's agreement, picking up those crabs opposite side of the map. As the vision goes out to try and make lanes as hard as possible to get ganked upon. But it's going to be Antonio, the first one to reset. So he's going to run back to the map actually with a BF sword advantage. And if he can look to try and force something before Hunt has done the same, then they've got a tempo lead in that regard as well. And he's actually pathing topside now, so either going for the Krugs or looking to try and punish.
Yeah, but he's actually hit the bloom, so I do believe there's a little bit of vision that he gave away there because it was warded out and he did clear the ward. So far, not much happening, right? It's been pretty safe in terms of lane. Maybe a little bit of trading in the bot side. You expect the Nami lane to out-sustain you in general, but you'll be waiting for the Lulu ultimate to come on through before we really start to see Hunt and Voltage, get aggressive in that one. But if it's a war of attrition, obviously you're going to favor the Lucian and Nami every day of the week, and get a little bit of a tab check here.
we go. So these are the items as we see so far. Already got the boots uploaded here for Poke, as he's going to be going for those boots of lucidity, a little bit more CDR. Make sure that he can provide that blessing to Ragnarok that much more frequently, and look to try and bully out Hunt and Voltage. Those first neutral objectives will be spawning at 4 minutes, so it's an interesting one, as Dragon and Rift are both at the same time. And it's going to force big decisions here as to whether or not these teams want to flip their map, or if they want to sort of sit to where their strong points start right now.
Well, you'd have to say the composition of Kraken Esports would want to be stacking these objectives up really early, because they would feel favored in most of, if not all of the Dragon fights. Whereas the composition of Jacuzzi Dogs, where you feel they have the advantage, is when it's attacking side lanes in general. So we'll see what Hunt decides to do here with the Lulu. He may even look to start the Dragon when it spawns.
Here it is, Antonio looking for it, going to get baited out by the Wukong clone. But now,
decent bit of damage coming out from Antonio there.
I mean, they have numbers in the area now, don't they? And they're really looking to try and hard force this one and get the Earth Drake first of all.
The package is on Corki though.
Ooh. Oh, there's Antonio jumping on through. Fantastic Cataclysm. That's going to be followed up there by Kite the Wind, trying to do whatever he can to try and find a massive spawn. Dust coming in with the package, looking to try and take it a kill. As he Valkyries forward explosively, but forced to flash away, and he can't find that kill. It's not going to be enough. But that is a quadra kill for Renekton. And if you're talking about an early game champion, that is the pressure and the presence you absolutely love to see.
Yeah, I mean, he has a Black Cleaver, and he's just come there, picked up a quadra kill. And he's really just taken over that whole Dragon fight. He zoned 3 or 4 members on the back end, and not only did he zone them, Skimmy, he actually killed them. So, yeah, it's one thing to just zone, and initially, right, it looked like, you know, Kraken Esports may be able to contest this with the Corki package, but Turn It Off says no. It was a very good engage by Antonio on the Jarvan as well, flag and drag into the Cataclysm. So, just a really well-executed team fight from the Jacuzzi Dogs as we get the replay. And again, the package kind of separates the fight, but then you'd have to think Dust maybe needs to kite back with the rest of the team. He ends up going on forward and just leaves it to almost, well, it is just a 1v4, and fantastic stuff.
Very Crocodile, right? He's running bot lane and he's literally away with the Dominus active. I mean, that is a situation you just absolutely hate to see. But for JD, they're stoked. They've picked themselves up that Mountain Dragon. Now they've got themselves a little bit of an extra shield boost to mitigate some of the bursts that Kraken will be looking to try and throw their way. And, well, with those kills and just the strength found in the first 5 minutes, they've rotated now to the top side and picked up a Herald.
Yeah, and it's double objectives too that's gone across to them, right? The Dragon as well as the Rift Herald. But the one thing I wanted to touch on too that I really like is the Jarvan picking up Guardian Angel. You know, it pretty much gives him a get out of jail free card, right? Like, as we see, this is going to be a lot of damage. And like, he's able to just pull the trigger in sometimes what would be a less than favorable engage, but he has the revive. So he's able to just kind of get back, come back to life, play that one out, disengage if he needs to. So it gives him a lot of options.
I mean, it's going to be that sort of insurance policy that he can continue to play aggressive, be in this point of power, not feel threatened that he could lose it, and that it could flip back in favor there for Kraken Esports to try and recover from. But what a fantastic start. It seems almost fitting, given this is our first to actually see these teams in action, sort of why the Open Qualifier resulted in the way it did. Hunt's going to go in there and hit the Cyclone, looking to try and zone members away from this turret, but it's not going to be enough because the wave is gone. But now a Herald has been summoned. That's Jacuzzi Dog's second turret of the game.
Yeah, we're starting to see why this team was the undefeated one, right, in the earlier stages of the tournament. So yeah, they're just setting the map alight at the moment, right? I mean, they got a pretty substantial gold lead. You know, item breakpoints coming through on multiple members, and across the board they just have gold leads. You know, there's nowhere on the map where you're saying, Kraken Esports, you know, they're stronger. They have a little bit of a lead. So again, we'll have to start looking. Where do Kraken Esports find their way back into this game? They still have the Wombo combo. They still have the Lulu, the Galio, the Wukong. But at the moment, I mean, this Renekton and Twisted Fate are just so strong.
Very strong. And you're probably hoping, as Kraken Esports, that you get yourself an item, perhaps 2, before you look to try and run it back with that same Wombo combo. Have a little bit of time on their hands before you have to worry about the threat of a Baron, for instance, and certainly a long time before Elder is even a consideration. So there's no major panic stations just coming out yet, despite that fantastic gold lead that you mentioned. But another Dragon will be up in 30 seconds, and it'll be interesting to see what Kraken decide to actually do here.
There's another item picked up in the bot lane, so definitely he's on his 2 item power spike now. Very happy with that one if you're Lucian, Ragnarok in particular. And Dusk has picked up package, so what that says to me is that he actually wants to look for a play. You know, whether that be contesting this dragon, which, you know, if you look at the map and the way that they're pathing it, it possibly looks like it. I mean, Hunt is pathing towards it. Doesn't look like it's going to be an objective that goes over for free, so we'll have to see.
It's always what you want, right? When you are the cool key, you got the package, you're just keen to fight. You're definitely not wanting to have to use that to clear a wave or just let it expire because you're feeling passive. The JD are doing anything but being passive right now. They're the ones on the front foot with a 5-man strong squad here. Kraken actually still have their Galio topside, looking to try and trim the wave and catch up this level deficit. Down 2.5k individually, but now 4v5, they want to force the fight. No, JD are disengaged back to mid lane, and now maybe Kraken Esports can try and force a numbers advantage. They've gone for Ragnarok, but he's survived. The shield is there. The turnaround is fantastic, as the Cataclysm once again proves to be devastating. And back to back, this man at Renekton is unstoppable.
Yeah, Turn It Off needs to just calm down a little bit, picking up a quadra kill and a triple kill 9 minutes into the game. He absolutely turns that team fight. It looks good for Kraken Esports on the back end. You know, Hunt's doing so much damage to the back line of Jacuzzi Dogs, but again, Turn It Off and Antonio just kind of popped their heads in at the end and cleaned that one up. And we're seeing the relative strength of the Renekton now. I mean, he's 7-0-2. The jungle from Jacuzzi Dogs 1-0-8. They're having some absolute blinders for their first game, I guess, on broadcast. And I mean, Kiting the Wind couldn't get down to that play, right? Like, he wasn't prepared to rotate. I guess maybe it wasn't even the call. And the rest of the team is kind of just left in the lurch, and they got cleaned up on the back end.
They certainly did. And I think at this stage, the Renekton is literally unstoppable because he's got himself a stone plate. He takes 0 damage. The GA wasn't even popped there by Antonio, and there is the big purple worm. Baron up and available. Big deal, as it just gives you so much strength, be it combat summoners and sieging. Vastly now is on the hard 1v3. They're looking to try and punish Escalio once again. He goes for the charge up for the taunt, but JD not willing to overextend in that situation. They're looking to try and now turn their attention elsewhere. Enemy blue buff is what they're after. They're not going to get baited out here by the Wukong clone, or are they? As Dusk was the focus, and he's been taken out again. Heroic entrance looking to try and jump on through. He's jumped into a Cataclysm. It's a double kill now for Ragnarok as he wants a bit of fun. He wants some of the kills. And now it's a flawless game here, Juice. 11-0.
Yeah, I mean, across the board, everyone just having, I don't know, what do we call this? We call it a blinder? They're having an absolute blinder. I mean, there's no one on the side of JD or Jacuzzi Dogs that you know, isn't having a good game. Usually you can kind of point to 1 or 2 lanes and say, yeah, you know, Kraken Esports might be able to win through this lane, win through that lane, but it looks to just be an absolute shutout. A perfect game at the moment.
Certainly is a perfect game, and let's see if they can keep it up in that fashion, because now that's going to be the 3rd objective. The 4th actually spawning, and the one thing going to be claimed with very ease.
He's just dead as well. Might be 2. Double kill for the Nami, why not?
A double kill for the Nami, give her a killing spree.
Yeah. 3-0-9 now, he's picked up the chapter, so does have a little bit of damage in his kit. Pretty big gold lead now, Skimmy too. I mean, start to kind of take note of the win cons of both teams, and it's really hard, and we're really pressed to see how, you know, Kraken Esports get back into this one. Turn It Off, pop the Dominus.
He's popped it, look at his own members away. The mid turret falls on down, so supers will now start flooding the base. And Ragnarok just looking to hang around there, do a bit of a drive-by with the guns blazing and the culling active. Now going to get flashed upon by the Wukong, and in combo that with the package. Everything being thrown together here by Kraken Esports. A last-ditch effort from them, you'd have to say, but they just can't fight back. The goal deficit is just too much. It's insurmountable. As it started with Ragnarok, and it may just end with him as he picks up the triple kill. There's the stopwatch from Varsity, looking for Hunt to take him out. 1 member left in the base. He's locked in the fountain, and that's GG to Jacuzzi Dogs.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a very big statement game, right? If I'm not mistaken, if I didn't miss any deaths on the back end, that was actually a perfect game, Skimmy.
Yeah. I mean, you really can't ask for much better, right? A debut, a performance, a showcasing on the big screen, and saying, all right, guys, you need to really be keeping your eyes on us because we're a team for the future and we're really keen to take it all.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like we talked about before, right? Statement game for all the other teams that are watching this. I mean, some of them are obviously playing right now, but I mean, all of them are playing right now. But I mean, even if you just go back and see how that game played out, if you make it through, you start to kind of fear, okay, are Jacuzzi Dogs legit? Are they the real deal? I mean, haven't lost yet. Play a game like that in the opener, and it was just fantastic to watch. It was good, clean gaming.
Yeah, I mean, the coordination really, once we get the replays coming up, we can look to try and figure out where it all went so wrong, I guess, for the Kraken Esports side, but where it went so right for Jacuzzi. I mean, we're looking at the Dragon in particular, where, you know, old mate Renekton is able to zone everybody away. No surprise that they did get that perfect game, 17-0. It is confirmed. MVP, as assigned by the game, reckons that it was Lucian as Ragnarok who claimed that one, but I tell you what, mate, I'm looking towards the big crocodile hunt, and I'm thinking he put in the hard yards early on.
I mean, off the back end and a few skirmishes, Ragnarok did solo out the Corki and have a few big team fights in his own right. I mean, across the board, when you play this well, it's so hard to point the finger. But, I mean, turn it off, obviously, just quadra kill at the Dragon. The one person, I guess, who we didn't give honorable mentions to at that Dragon was Antonio. Like, he's the one that actually pulled the trigger. He's the one that chunked out the Wukong so that they couldn't engage. You know, it's all these little wins that resulted in, you know, the massive win at the end of the Dragon. So, you know, you have to give credit to the man that was engaging, but, you know, obviously the glory goes to the people who get the quadra kills, the triple kills and whatnot. But yeah, like I said, across the board, I mean, no one died, no turret fell down. It is just clinical. It is just a perfect game.
Yeah, early game aggression with an AD heavy composition that was able to push on forward and get the job done. And you can sort of see it here from the damage breakdown. It was pretty decisive in that fashion, right? You know, you're looking at, for the most part, at least 50% extra damage across the board between all of them. I suppose when you're seeing a Nami doing close to what the rest of Kraken are able to achieve, it really was a picture that kind of presents how decisive it was. I mean, the interesting stat for me, above all, is that third one in the middle, the fist for how many team fights they were present in. I mean, that just shows you that Jacuzzi Dogs were keen to punch on any chance that was presented.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just full participation from Poke, right? You know, he's not the one that stands out in terms of like picking up triple kills, quadra kills, but like obviously the performance, the standout performance from him too.
Yeah, and well, I mean, that's only game one, right? We've still got ourselves a best of three, so you start to wonder, okay, what can Kraken Esports do to try and change things around? What can they look to try and bring in the draft and cause a little bit of confusion for the opposition and maybe, you know, turn their we talk about it being an undefeated run here for the Jacuzzi Dogs, but is there a trick up their sleeve that they are willing to reveal this early on, Juves? That's what we're going to have to wait and find out. As it stands, I mean, I'm hard-pressed to think, you know, who truly is the MVP. I mean, you could say it's Ragnarok for what he did in the later stages, but I'm still pretty stoked with, yeah, what old mate Renekton could achieve.
Yeah, and I mean, to break that down, right, we have to think about these team fights, the early team fight that we harped on about with the quadra kill. Such a good engage from the side of JD. They were able to really, I mean, I say they, but the Renekton is literally quadra kill in the back end there. Varsity was featuring, of course. But I mean, even this engage here, Antonio lands or gets a 3 or 4 man Cataclysm, and then Turn It Off cleans up. But so it's like, it's all the little things, like the little details that you may miss that really result in such a big thing. In this team fight there, Ragnarok picked up the solo kill. And then even here, like Baron's already gone down. They're kind of contesting. They feel desperate that they need to do something. And this is where I thought, you know, Kraken may find a way back into this game, but their engage is just turned. The package doesn't find its home. And they ultimately just get ran down in the mid lane.
It felt like the burden of execution was a little bit against them, right, for the Kraken Esports squad. Not as easy to try and emulate what JD were putting together and throwing at them. You saw that there was clearly this idea that, you know, maybe a wild growth with a Cyclone, perhaps that, you know, jump on through with the Galio was enough to try and turn things around. But ultimately, the Wombo combo wasn't as clean as it could have been. And perhaps, you know, when you're down 15k, surprise, surprise, it's a little bit hard to try and bite back.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we've all played those games, 15k down, 10 to 15k down, and whatever you're doing isn't sticking, whatever you're hitting isn't dying, and I mean, it's literally the difference. Like, there was so many team fights in that game where, you know, 1 or 2 more autos, 1 or 2 more abilities, Kraken Esports probably get a reset on, and they probably get a kill, and then maybe they can find their way back into the game, getting some of those gold, getting some of those bounties, but, you know, they were just always kind of the, you know, just off the mark. And it was almost like when it came down to execution, that's all it was. Because Kraken Esports knew what they needed to do, knew what they wanted to do, but, you know, the likes of Jacuzzi Dogs didn't let them do that, right? So, you know, best of 3, we'll have to see what they can conjure up next.
Yeah, I think if anything, I think Hunt played really well. The jungler, the Wukong, on the side of Kraken Esports, definitely had a bit of an influence to try and get things rolling. Looking to try and put things into motion. We'll get to see what those boys can do as we're going to jump to break and get ourselves ready for game number 2.
Before we jump into the next one, here's a quick reminder for all of you mobile gamers out there. The ESL Mobile Open is just around the corner, so head over to Twitter right now and get all of those details. Tell your friends, build a team, and earn a spot in the finals.
Feel the lights, see the stage, hear the vibe. Pumped up to get ready for the fight. Big dreams, one chance, be the star. I'm the winner coming out of the dark.
Step out as a motivator. Let them know that the wait's up. That's how we know when we level up. Hey, that's how we know when we level up.
Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? It's time, get up.
Back against the wall, still I'm standing tall. Know about the ball, I got my fan with me. That's how we know when we level up. Yeah, that's how we know when we level up.
Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. It's time, get up.
Look into your eyes, I see the colors of your soul, and I recognize every single line, every single roadblock. We are two hearts that beat in time, and the towers looking down all night, blocking out the sun that we need. Maybe we can change our stripes and colors. You're the only one I see. And I take it all or nothing at all. Driving through the night till I met your door. Go outside, stay up all night. And I take it all or nothing at all. Driving through the night, I met your door. Go outside, stay up all night. Sleep through the sunrise. Into my past and I count the numbers of the dreams that I left behind. I don't even care now that I've discovered a new kind of peace of mind. Up above us, looking down on us, there's an angel I know. We don't need to worry or discuss much. It's time for me to hit the road. I'll take it all or nothing at all. Driving through the night till I met your door. Go outside, stay up all night, sleep through the sunrise. Stay up all night, and I take it all or nothing at all. Driving through the night till I'm at your door. Go outside, stay up all night, sleep through the sunrise.
before we jump into the next one, here's a quick reminder for all of you mobile gamers out there. The ESL Mobile Open is just around the corner, so head over to Twitter right now and get all of those details. Tell your friends, build a team, and earn a spot in the finals.
Feel the lights, see the stage, hear the vibe. Pumped up to get ready for the fight. Big dreams, one chance, be the star. I'm the winner coming out of the dark.
Step out as a motivator. Let them know that the weight's up. That's how we know when we level up. Hey, that's how we know when we level up.
Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? It's time, get up.
Back against the wall, still I'm standing tall. Know about the ball, I got my fan with me. That's how we know when we level up. Yeah, that's how we know when we level up. Level up.
All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. It's time, get up.
And welcome back to the Wild Rift Oceanic Championship, as we've already had our first game here in round one for the best of three. My name is Skimmy, and as always, my partner in crime here in Jubes. And mate, I mean, what a game, right? What an announcement for these boys to sort of showcase what they could do there, because Jacuzzi Dogs came in with a mission, and they stamped it with some authority.
Yeah, it was a statement game, right? I mean, you know, if you were spectating that game, watching that game, obviously they're the team that you kind of match yourself up against now, right? It was a beautiful performance, and it's not even that. It's like recent results that we're going off to, you know, undefeated, still again probably a little bit overtuned story, but I mean, at the end of the day, when you're undefeated, it just comes with the territory.
Yeah, a fresh theme and a fresh storyline, and well, I suppose we're in the thick of it right now because we're getting to see why these teams are qualifying in the way that they have. But the seeding as a whole, you know, coming into this one, there was an open qualifier, so there's no seeding here. It's all a bit of lady luck in that Swiss format to see if you can try and make it at the end of the day to be one of those 8 qualifying teams that we'll see competing next week. But we've got ourselves a game number 2 to look forward to and see if the Kraken Esports Club can turn their, you know, ship around. Can they look to try and get ourselves into a game 3? Because there were moments, you'd have to say, where it looked like they could threaten. But I suppose, you know, when you are up against a team that is getting triple kills and quadra kills, you know, it's very hard to bounce back from that.
Well, the way I look at it is like, at least they didn't lose in laning phase, right? I mean, they were pretty stable in lane. Where it kind of faltered for them was at the dragon fights. But I believe, Skimmy, we're going to head into draft. So here we are. We got the Jacuzzi Dogs versus Kraken Esports again. This time we'll see if there's little tweaks in pick ban.
Well, I'm wondering, because what did we see from Jacuzzi last time? Some crazy bans where it was the likes of a Teemo, Master Yi, and a Singed.
No, sorry.
Right,
yeah.
they're looking to say, remove every bit of cheese that's available. We just want to beat you standard because we know that we can beat you standard. We saw it. There was the proof in the pudding for it. Looks like Kraken have responded back in similar fashion themselves with the Lee Sin and Yasuo. And it was a Gragas last time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Gragas. And I mean, the way that Jacuzzi Dogs actually play the game, I don't think I would be comfortable giving away the Yasuo Gragas. But yeah, the Renekton ban, 100%. 100%. If there was one adaptation you needed to make, it was taking that champion away. Obviously, the Jarvan would probably have to be your second consideration, and something that you wouldn't want them to get their hands on either. But I mean, you know, the Lucian being taken away now.
Bit of a flip. Yeah, Ragnarok, the ones who played it last time in the bot lane for Jacuzzi, that's going to be stolen away, and then turn it off, so they're going to say, well, you can ban my Renekton, but I'm going to show you guys how to play that Galio and look to try and put a bit of emphasis on what it can achieve. The Camille also, a nice exciting champion that has a lot of scaling damage to try and contend with. The Gragas, if it's not banned away, it's because Kraken themselves want to pick it up.
Well, I really like so far what Jacuzzi Dogs have put together, and I know it's only Camille Galio, but there's just so much synergy that come with these two champions, right? The lockdown from the Camille, which means it's just guaranteed CC coming through from the Galio. But I mean, Kraken Esports have a very high priority on the Gragas, so it's definitely something that they practice, something that they've been working on. They've got the Twisted Fate now as well, so in terms of CC, in terms of the mid-jungle 2v2, there's going to be a lot there.
Certainly will be, and a nice nimble lady carry now to try and back up what that Wombo combo is that you just mentioned with the Ezreal. final pick
Is-
is going to be that Ziggs as well. So you got yourself some very strong sieging potential. And another, I suppose, adaptation, right? You talk about how strong the Galio and the Camillus together. Add Ziggs into the mix, and it's pretty much Exodia.
Yeah, but I like the Ziggs because whilst you can't necessarily match the Twisted Fate ultimate and get your body there, you can throw a bomb down, a big bomb, a Mega Inferno bomb, and potentially influence what would have been a 2v1 or a 3v2, and you can almost make it an even fight, right? Because if you get so strong on that Ziggs that you're able to really just do some half health from someone, I mean, you're there. So I'll be excited to see how this one plays out. Obviously, a lot of kill threat early on, if you consider the jungle pairing of the Twisted Fate as well. So we'll just have to keep eyes. Again, I think it's going to be jungle mid-focus game around these neutral objectives, and we'll see what happens.
Certainly will see what happens, because that's where all the action took place last time, right? It was a bit of a stalemate in that laning phase, chilling out until those major objectives spawned at 4 minutes, and that's when all the fireworks kicked off. That's the scoreline so far. Jacuzzi playing here to close this one out and have a clean 2-0 and a break leading into round 2. If you're a fan of Kraken Esports Club, you are hoping that this draft adaptation is the spice of life that they need to take us to a game 3. We're going to find out how this one goes as we load up into the action. And get to find out, Juves, if the mid-jungle for the Kraken Esports Club in a TF and a Graves is enough.
Yeah, I mean, you have the strength in that 2v2, you have the early game as well, and the time will tell. It's exciting because I like, as we've already hopped into game, the red buff start from the Graves, and it's actually the Camille jungle skimmy.
Ooh, even more scary now, because you're
There's going to be a lot of
going to be
pressure.
explosive with that hook shot. Yeah. Pretty much any lane you go, right? The CC to complement it. Top side, Galio, Taunt. You go mid, Ziggs, Satchel Charge. Not as reliable, but certainly can be good for the displacement to ensure that the CC is there. So, mid-jungle being the focus, as you've mentioned. Let's see what these teams can do, because that was a bit of a gentleman's agreement last time. Both went for a full clear, double buff into Crab, into reset before that first game out.
It's not a full clear angle from the Graves at the moment, like he's gone for the Scuttle Crab here just quickly, but Scuttle Crab's traded, no team trying to deny, and Ziggs actually being a fantastic mid laner, his minefield nearly picked up the Crab, believe it or not. That would have been a real sad story.
Stolen away by a single component of the minefield. We've seen how strong those Zig bombs can get in the past, right? Where you have a few items under your belt and just one piece of the pie, if you will. That's doing significant chunks of HP.
Lucian Braum is just such a strong 2v2. Nami historically can play quite well into the Braum, because Braum isn't your traditional like hard engage support. It actually takes some time to land the Braum Q and then get the passive. So Nami can always just disengage that. And so it does become almost like a decent lane for the Ezreal Nami, but if they ever falter or make a misstep, then they're as good as dead, because the burst damage coming out of this bot lane is going to be too much.
Yeah, I mean, as you're talking about, right, it's the fact that Braum's going to apply that passive very early on, the double tap, then from Hunt on this Lucian's passive. It's just going to make it very easy for them to find that stun. But worth noting that if Ragnarok can look to try and jiggle around in this lane quite nicely, they're going to obviously have the Nami again to empower those Mystic shots, and he can look to try and dissuade that aggression that Voltage will be hunting for. Now, Dusk here in the mid lane has been trying to push this wave out pretty aggressively, much to the demise of his own health bar, but he's got some fruit by his turret that he can pick up to keep himself back up to 50%, and can continue to farm quite protected.
And this is the matchup that I kind of like to see for the Galio in top side of the map. It's into the Gragas, something where you can really utilize the whole kit of the Galio. Into the Renekton, you're just going to lose those 1v1 trades, like those trades in isolation. And you are playing for the composition, but I think Galio has a little more freedom in these types of lanes, right? To actually trade back, generate priority, and move first. Like, how many times did we see last game that Kite in the Wind couldn't actually make it to the play because he just didn't have any priority?
Yeah, he was just locked in place, right? Didn't have the teleport enchantment either to even group up with the rest of his team, and he was stuck, catching minions when the rest of his team were keen to punch on. Here we go. No solo kills once again during laning phase. Both the Herald and Dragon are spawning. And I wonder what adaptations both teams will make this time around as to how to get to this one, because as you can see already, Jacuzzi dogs are just straight here for that Drake.
Yeah, they're just all in. They happy to take this one away, and it looks like it's going to be a trade, right? Kraken Esports are happy to trade this one, grab that Rift Herald in exchange for what is going to be that first Dragon. And you can even see Turner-Off walk down again, so it is just something that's so well rehearsed. You know, able to just leave his lane, walk down for the what maybe would be a fight. Doesn't happen, walks back top, and just really good macro.
Ooh. Bit of a chance there for Hunt to try and steal that one away with the culling across the wall, but Antonio feeling confident with the smite. Doesn't lose that smite battle, guarantees them the Ocean Dragons, so that's going to be a nice little buff for them now. Extra 8% physical vamp as well as magical vamp, a little bit of extra sustain. And that's only going to scale up fantastically once a few items are there for the combat strength of how clinical they were in those previous fights.
That's why you don't really want to give those dragons, right? You need like they're dragons that actually mean something. You know, there's stats behind it, and you kind of run the risk of, you know, do you lose that skirmish by 1 or 2 auto attacks, because the difference is that dragon.
Yeah.
Obviously, the later the game goes, the more the percentages mean, but the Ocean's always going to be a nice one.
I'm going to see it find probably the most value here in the bot lane right now, given it is the Enchanter backup here. Thumbs out going out for him from Voltage, feeling a little bit cheeky, hits the Q and says, well, we're not going to follow that one up any more than just that, but I'm just letting you know. Might be feeling quite strong and pretty comfortable in this lane, but there is kill pressure. Just yet to truly find it. Usually set top side though. It's the battle of the aftershock users, right? Just going in, hitting a little bit of CC, getting those tanky stats, farming up a trait, and both dead even right now.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of game state, in terms of, I guess, what's happened in the early game, if you're a Kraken Esports fan, you've got to be happy with it, because last time around, you were actually in, what, a 5k, 6k deficit after that Dragon, so it's still really anyone's game, and we'll have to see which player, which lane can really break this one open, because, I mean, if I look at the composition of Jacuzzi dogs, they're really happy to just sit there and scale.
Yeah, I mean, they don't feel pressured at all, do they, right now? Very keen for their tier user in the Manamune just to get, you know, upgraded, translate that into a strong item afterwards. You'd imagine, you know, the Trinity Force to come on through, and that's pretty much the dream for an Ezreal, right? Those 2 items, that's all she wrote, that's all you need. Fastity on the Ziggs, already got the Ludens. Going to be looking to put out a ton of damage with these bombs now, and, you know, very cost-efficient champions that can look to try and spike early.
100%, and I mean, you were touching on this bot lane. The sustain that's coming out of it is absolutely insane, right? Ezreal's actually starting to hit relevant damage in terms of poke, and it's not something that Hunt and Voltage can really sustain through, especially when you consider the Nami. So if we just leave this in isolation and just let them chip away, it's... Ooh, we nearly got caught on the base there. Rift Herald's going to get a charge in the mid lane. Antonio's here to defend. You did see the Graves go bot side for a second, right? Potentially looking at stealing that one away, but he's come through mid, trimmed the wave there with a Mega Inferno bomb. The Herald will be used, but it's not going to be enough to take down the first turret of the game. So, Kraken Esports have rotated up, because it looks like JD are doing a little bit of a passive freeze here, but now might be forcing the push, given that they know that their lane opponents have disappeared. Dragon being pinged as well. Know what that means? It's not too far away, Juice. It's up in 30 seconds. Yep. Definitely going to be a contest. I mean, we're seeing... I thought maybe we're just seeing Gragas trying to walk down early for it, but I think he's just going to try and contest this wave, push it. A little bit of a trade in the top side. Didn't really see what happened, but if you look at the HB, Gragas came worse for Wes. But again, JD are here so early, and it really looks like a tough contest because they're going to be walking through Ziggs poke. And Lucian, Hunt isn't even with his team, so they've decided to call their bluff, push down mid lane. Turret goes down. Yeah, they've just decided, let's go for this fight instead. We want to push this one out of 2-man Taunt, True Shot Barrage, and the bomb. Too much damage from the 2 carries here on JD. And that may be opened as the result. They're looking to run everybody down
and it won't be the first dragon, it'll be the second dragon, but they found themselves fourth.
It's just so decisive from the Jacuzzi dogs, right? I think Kraken Esports actually made the correct play, calling their bluff, pushing down mid, but they needed to back off a little bit earlier, right? They stayed for the turret, and that gave Antonio the perfect angle to engage, the follow-up there from turning it off, and I mean, it's just the jungle top duo on this team, right? Like, both times in both games, they're the ones that pulled the trigger. It's full 100% kill participation, and it did so much damage on the back end.
Crazy damage, early spikes, and it doesn't get much better than this now because they can return to the bot lane and continue the battle of sustain. You've got a Font of Life keystone choice here from the Nami. You've got yourself the Ocean Dragon. You now get yourself a Mountain Dragon as well. And you just can't be bullied in this lane unless there's a numbers influx, unless there is that gank here from Hunt, who's in the area, picking up Krugs right now. I just don't see how JD get bullied out of bot lane.
No, it's so hard to play this lane now, right? Hunt and Voltage. I'll stop myself there and we'll just look at the replay, right? It's such a good engage. And I mean, it's pretty much at what, a 2v4 from Antonio and Turn It Off in terms of zoning the carries, and the win might be caught, but it's a good ultimate away.
I mean, look at that. That is just a perfect combo between the core 3 champions that can just do it all. This is why they picked them so early on into the draft, because at least the Galio and the Camille, you know, insane CC between the two of them.
And I actually think this is kind of what Kraken Esports were going for in the first game, right? But unfortunately, they didn't have the Camille, and when you look at the Galio paired with the Camille, it's deadly. Like, how do you survive that? Obviously, you can't be up mid lane, but I mean, it's just so hard to play around, and if you're not used to it, and as a team, if you're not practiced, you find yourself just getting caught like Kraken Esports are, and you know, with the Ziggs down bot lane, this turret's just gone.
Ooh, certainly is. Nice door though. He's going to cancel the true shot barrage. Nice little interaction there to ensure that they won't fall down that much more. And then a dash away to ensure that the bomb doesn't hit him. So getting a little bit cute there from Voltage.
Yeah, nice little display there of mechanics. You know, meant to dodge out of that one, but don't know if he would have died. Would have been close. Might even see a pop dive here, Skimmy.
Potentially. There's no vision, but I think Kite in the wind suspects something. He's going to find out now as he reveals him. But a very quick recall will get him back to base. I mean that not to worry, not to fear. Perhaps now you need to worry about 3 members instead of just that single Camille, because they've all turned their attention towards this top side to remove the final tier 1.
It hasn't gone down yet. It's a valiant attempt holding this turret up, but Hunt just dashes forward, tries to do a little bit of damage. But this is the hard part about Graves, the hard thing about Graves. Might see a fight here.
Yeah, wants to get rid of this wave right now. Explosive cast onto Boki, who's looking to try and run away from this one. Goes around with the tidal wave. And in comes Camille! A 2-man knockup. There's the exhaust onto the Lucian that can do literally no damage at all. Ragnarok spiking from afar with these mystic shots, hoping that he's going to take down a Lucian too. He gets away on critical health. The GA gets popped. Everybody from JD topped up and healthy. Not a single member has fallen. And now Ezreal being a little bit too big for his boots. Is this the first step of the game? Oh, first chance that JD will fall, and it is. We're not going to have ourselves back-to-back perfect games here.
I thought Ragnarok was able to kite that one out, but it's a very good pickup kill there by Hunt and Dust. I mean, we're kind of seeing the short range of Kraken Esports composition just get absolutely kited. And by the Nami, Ezreal, and Ziggs. Like, if you think about the range disparity, they're just taking so much damage to actually get in auto attack range. Hunt was at half health. Lucian can only really use the culling. The Twisted Fate can't really land anything besides the wild card. So, I mean, in terms of draft, it just feels like such a hard team comp to execute.
There is the rapid fire cannon that he was hoping for. And now we'll look to try and make things just a fraction easier for them in terms of a ranged engage, but good to see them get that kill. And have back-to-back perfect games against them. Never a nice feeling. Regardless though, JD's still the ones in the driving seat in a comfortable spot. 13 minutes in, up by 5,000 gold. Going for the 3rd dragon. They've got 2 buffs already. This will give them just a fraction more of a flat 6% increased damage.
Yeah.
And now they're 1 away from unlocking that Elder.
Well, they've pretty much got like 15% worth of stats. Ziggs picks up a kill. Didn't really see what happened there. Yeah.
No, we missed the action. I'm not sure if we'll get a replay, but look, mate, I'm sure it was a case of them just being that far ahead right now that they can step up and do as they please.
Yeah, I mean, these turrets are going to melt too, Jimmy, right, with the Zig, so it's a tough ask for Kraken Esports, but they need to do something to come back into the game, and maybe it's a fight around Baron, maybe it's a bit of a Baron bait, using the TF, playing macro, but at the moment, if you fight anywhere near this Camille, anywhere near the Zigs, I mean, you're just going to have a really bad night. Guardian Angel's going to be coming back up shortly as well for Antonio. So if he wants to pull any of those engages, you know, kind of carefree, then he's going to be able to do so. And I mean, if you want to take stock of game state, just look at the level disparity between the Gragas and the Galio, and then, you know, across the board, there's just EXP leads for Jacuzzi Dogs. Yeah,
a level lead, you know, standard, but, you know, top lane is probably where it hurts the most, right? As you say, 2-level lead for this Galio, that's just unstoppable. When talk about Antonio feeling quite confident because he's got that G up and available. He's got himself the Death Dance, he's got himself the Stone Plate, he's going to have so much HP on demand if he finds himself in the thick of battle. Baron maybe being looked at, but we might have ourselves a bit of a situation instead of turning our attention top lane and catching up the Gragas, make it a 4v5. Vision or not, now it's the numbers advantage.
This is the Baron angle, but they did use a lot of ultimates, so if there's ever a time that the Kraken Esports can contest, yes, they're a man down, but this would have to be one of them. Flash is up for Graves, he has Smite as well.
He's going to go for the steal, it's getting closer and closer to that Smite range. I've got the wild cards looking to try and take him out. Graves is gone, they have no Smite. They're actually going to disengage away from the Baron, despite it being so low. It had about 1,000 HP left. Split attention because they are that strong. The Baron there, everybody alive for JD. And back to business as they look to try and siege.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really hard to stop this siege. Not only are you down gold, but you're down a man, so it's going to be more turrets falling. And I mean, when you look at the draft that JD have, it's I'd say near impossible to defend, because the Ezreal's going to be throwing poke, the Ziggs is going to be throwing poke, and then, you know, if they really just want to turret dive and pull the trigger, they have that option too. So across the board, I mean, what can we really see from Kraken Esports to defend this push? I mean, look at the item disparities.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's sort of the question I'm asking right now is, you know, you're down not only levels now, but, you know, significant item advantages against you in the opposition core, and you're hoping perhaps that you can look to try and hit a wombo combo of yourself, right? Perhaps find somebody isolated with the Twisted Fate, perhaps a nice explosive cast to split somebody apart. You're hoping.
Hope's a good thing. And the Ziggs is just half health your team with the satchel bomb. I mean, I'd love to see Varsity do Ziggs ult here. Yep. Aces.
Much went out, but the bomb is there, and Antonio don't miss. On his own, breaks the rampage. They back him up with the grand entrance from the Galio to say hello, get themselves into the thick of things on his own. Look at the damage! One Mystic shot, and he's dead. The mid turret falls on down, and turn attention straight towards the Nexus itself. Back-to-back games here, back-to-back victories seems to be on the cards. Antonio soaking the shots, but he won't fall down. And GG, Jacuzzi take the series.
Yeah, they take the series 2-0, and what a performance it was across the board. I mean, there was not one point or in this series where you kind of thought, you know, maybe they don't have this one in the bag. It was a solid performance from top lane all the way to bot lane. And you know, particularly impressed with the top side of Jacuzzi Dogs, as well as the AD carry. I mean, it's hard to really pick, you know, a standout, but yeah, it was just such a solid performance from the team.
It is very hard, right? Because when everybody's having a solid performance like that, it's hard to sort of break it down and say, okay, who is the definitive MVP of that game or of the series as a whole? I'm not sure, but we're going to see what those match stats look like. So let's bring those up and see what really was the breakdown of this one, because it was the same game here for Pokey. He gets to play that Nami once again. Why not? You know, it worked the first time, so run it back once more. Varsity this time is the one to pick up the MVP. It was Ragnarok before, but that Ziggs was putting in some serious action with those bombs.
Yeah, I'd love to see the damage stat. I mean, we'll get to see it from Varsity. I thought, you know, Ragnarok might take this one away because on the back end, his Ezreal was doing so much damage, but I think you have to consider Varsity also took so many turrets out with that satchel charge. It's going to inflate stats too. So, I mean, yeah, It feels like a similar run-of-the-mill game where, you know, Antonio turn it off, get their team a little bit of a lead, get their team, you know, a head start. Then Ragnarok and Varsity start to take over the mid to late game, and really just putting in serious work in terms of numbers, in terms of damage. So it's almost like a relay race, and the baton got handed over.
Nice and smoothly. Perhaps with a little blip on the radar though, because maybe Jacuzzi Dogs, the teammates, are going to be taunting Ragnarok for destroying the perfect series. One singular death picked up by the Ezreal, looking to try and be a little bit too clean on the montage reel hunting, finds himself locked in place and ultimately fell on down. So commiserations there for Kraken Esports. They bow out in the first round here, 2-0. There are moments of brilliance for them, but I think the caliber of opponent in Jacuzzi Dogs was too much for them to answer here today. And we'll be excited to see how their progression pans out throughout the night, because we've still got plenty more rounds of action. Still 4 more best of 3s for us to jump into. And after this, no doubt, we'll be looking to try and see how the rest of the squad has played too. But that's the damage breakdown. I mean, look at that. 27,000 damage. Now, I'm not going to do quick math, but I tell you what, when you're seeing numbers like that from your 2 main carries, you put your boys in your back.
Well, he's actually close to doing more damage than the whole of Kraken Esports, right? Obviously, that's not the case, because I did some quick math, but, you know, it's very
what I was
close.
avoiding.
Very, very close. Sorry?
That's what I was avoiding, because I've been called out for it before, and
really?
you know what? People don't give you leeway, right, on Twitch chat. They say, but that's not exactly correct, you know, 27,000. They have 30,000. It gets the general point across.
It's 9k in the bot lane, it's 11k in the mid lane, so that's 20, 25, then 9. So they're just a little bit over Varsity. I mean, they've done a good job. That was quick math. That was my quick math.
That was some quick math. That's very impressive. On the spot, in the moment, heat of it, and well, that was the hit of the game, because it was a beautiful one at just that. Perfect 2-0 to start off their series here. Jacuzzi Dogs still the undefeated team from Open qualifiers now into the championships themselves, and will be a team now that ourselves and everybody at home will be watching with intent to see where they end up. The MVP for the series, I wonder, is there a definitive moment that would sum up the series as a whole? Do you think there's a key play? I mean, it's a very tall order. There's a, you know, are we looking at game 1 or game 2 having more leeway towards it, would you say?
I don't necessarily think this was a game where we can really aim or point towards one particular play, but I think the one thing that we can say is that in terms of drafting teamfight compositions, in terms of pulling the trigger, in terms of just playing the map, it was really clean. I mean, this fight here was just after the dragon went down, and then they just start the engage. I mean, I didn't think this was a bad play from Kraken Esports. I think they just overstayed maybe a few seconds too much, and they got significantly punished for it, and that was the beginning of the end, really, right? Then across the board, this Camille pick was just used to start fights, to make picks, and I mean, there's just always 5 members in the same spot, in the same place, doing work, and this is where Ragnarok kind of lost his team the perfect game. But, you know, we won't talk about that.
No, we'll delete that one from the VOD. I'm sure he doesn't want to hear about it anymore, as I'm sure he's already been taunted enough by his mates at home. But, you know, it just feels like to me a clinical nature behind JD, right? They find a moment and they're not going to take a kill, not 2. It's always massive multi-kills that are enough to get, you know, big impacts on the game, resulting in dragons, heralds, sieging, just overall map control that gives them these huge gold leads.
Yeah, and the thing I actually liked from them was their discipline this game. I mean, even the last game, they actually, at times, knew they were too deep, knew that they couldn't pick up the kill. They actually retreated and went to pick up the neutral objective instead. And I mean, that's a team that really shows a lot of maturity when you're not just chasing kills, you're actually just saying, okay guys, pull it back a little bit, the kills will come, we need to do what's right for the team, we need to pick up the neutral objective. So in terms of you know, having their objective focus is just a good sign to show, especially this early on, because it's easy to let the blood get to your head and say, oh, you know, it's our first game on broadcast, let's just kill everyone. But they actually were able to say, no, let's reel it in.
Yeah, they say it's a long night ahead. We've got to stay as focused as we can. We don't want to reveal too much, and I think that's something that I found really cool about them, is that they had a very clear identity on what was strong and what worked well in synergy with each other, and said, this is what we're going to play, and we're going to make it look very, very clean. So, you know, this is a team now that you're looking to try and say, okay, what do you really ban against them? Because we saw the Lee Sin ban, we saw the Yasuo ban, you're starting to wonder, if those get let through, what kind of spice can they deliver with those champions? Because clearly there's a trick up their sleeve there. But for the same could be said really for Kraken Esports Club. you know, how wild is it that a team can come into this one and say, we're banning Teemo, we're banning Singed, we're removing Yi. You're just not allowed any of the fun champions because those on their own can put on a bit of a 1v9.
I wonder if there would be points of difference. I wonder if Kraken Esports actually would have had different results, you know, if they got their hands on those champions. Or was it a little bit of a don't care? I just don't care, so we're just going to ban those. You never know. I mean, with the performance Jacuzzi Dogs put out, you'd have to say whatever they did, you know, they did their research and it worked. But I mean, yeah, it's also one of those things where it's the first game that we see on broadcast and we really do get to see their take on the meta.
We certainly did, and that's the take on the series. 2-0 on the night here for Jacuzzi Dogs in round 1. We're going to jump into a bit of a longer break this time around as we wait for the rest of the teams off stream to complete their games, and then we'll be back with round number 2.
Before we jump into the next one, here's a quick reminder for all of you mobile gamers out there. The ESL Mobile Open is just around the corner, so head over to Twitter right now and get all of those details. Tell your friends, build a team, and earn a spot in the finals.
Feel the lights, see the stage, hear the vibe. Pumped up to get ready for the fight. Big dreams, one chance, be the star. I'm the winner coming out of the dark.
Step out as a motivator. Let them know that the weight's up. That's how we know when we level up. Hey, that's how we know when we level up.
Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? It's time, get up.
Back against the wall, still I'm standing tall. Know about the ball, I got my fan with me. That's how we know when we level up. Yeah, that's how we know when we level up.
Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. It's time, get up.
Up, 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 1,000 miles of luck. Don't look down, we made it. Feet far off the pavement, and we go up, up, up. 1,000 miles of luck. We stay understated. Pressure feels amazing. Just the dust, just the sand. Just the motion of your hands. Travel like lanes. It's just enough, oh yeah. Just for you, just a man. Just an ocean in the wind. We ain't gotta make plans. Fair enough, oh yeah. Always you and me, tryna be weightless. Like we're the two surviving pieces of something. Always you and me, tryna be weightless. And I know it feels like a light years in the making. Up, 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 1,000 miles of luck. Don't look down, we made it. Feet far off the pavement, and we go up, up, up. 1,000 miles of luck. Oh no, we stay understated. Pressure feels amazing. Just the dust, just the sand, just the motion of your hand. Travel like land, just your height, man. Just a one, just a believer. I don't care. I see you loading up my mind. Place me on the side. Fair enough, oh yeah. Always you and me, tryna be weightless. Like we're the two surviving pieces of something. Always you and me, tryna be weightless. Yeah. And I know it feels like light years in the making. Up, up, up. 1,000 miles of luck. Yeah. dust, just the sand, just the motion of your hand, just the dust, just the sand, yeah, yeah. Travel like traveling, just the dust, yeah, just the sand. Hey, just the dust, just the sand, just the dust, just the sand. Always you and me, trying to be weightless, like we're the two surviving pieces of something. Always you and me, trying to be weightless. And I know it feels like light years in the making. Oh, thousand miles of love. Don't look down, we made it. Feet far off the pavement, and we go up, up, up. Thousand miles of love, yeah, yeah. We stay understated. Pressure feels amazing. Wish we could learn how to love our mistakes, straight from the jump and not wait for an answer. Wish we could smile, which is rough nowadays. Change our reactions.
Feelings don't die around this neighborhood. We used to sell a double pills, young and misunderstood. My homie, tell me what is changing from your point of view. A smaller circle, but the range is some deja vu. I recognize my future, and there is nothing with you. Unless you turn your boat around, success might come recruit you. But unless you analyze in depth that we're steps away from death, 1,000 possibilities, act on it, Johnny Depp. For real. Cause we're alone sometimes, trying to know what father brought us down to here. I don't wanna be stuck in countless doubts. I just wanna smile and run away from here. I swear to God, man, I just wanna be a model for my brother. Hey, hey, I just gotta work until I'm on the covers. Hey, hey, I just gotta work until my sons are covered. Hey, I just wanna make it proud to be my mother. Hey. Wish we could learn how to love our mistakes, straight from the jump and not wait for an answer. Wish we could smile, which is rough nowadays. Change our reactions. You just gotta love yourself. 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 Hope you learned your lesson, girl. I cannot teach anymore. Hope you show some faith in men, and not like anyone. Cause I am over being sober with myself when I'm with you. I am over being something I am not. I'ma turn it to the man now. Hey, finna get my money, ain't no handouts. Hey, finna be a legend like I'm playing now. Hey, I ain't gotta focus on my friends now. Huh? I'ma turn it to the man now. Finna get my money, ain't no handouts. Hey, finna be a legend like I'm playing now. Hey, I ain't gotta focus on my friends now. You just gotta love yourself. You just gotta love yourself. You just gotta love yourself. You just gotta love yourself.
Seeing the stars reminds me of you. Oh, oh, oh. You left me with scars, but I know that one day you'll see it through. You give me air to breathe, you give me light to see. Oh, when things are out of reach, you bring them back to me, back to me. You see
I'm broken, the door is closing. Wanna be a part of something more than this. I've lost control of it, I've lost control. You give me air to breathe, you give me light to see. When things are out of reach, you bring them back to me, back to me. You see it through, you see it through, you see it through, you see it through.
I've been with you for as long as I can remember, and you stood by me and held up my head. But it's getting hard to say that I am not a pretender. No, I don't wanna leave any words unsaid. Now I think that you hate me, and I'm driving you crazy. Wish I could say forever, but maybe we're better when we're not together. I know that we have to let it go. I can see your eyes close, and I feel like we're drowning. I know that we have to let it go. Can you see my eyes close? And I feel like we're drowning in it. That we're drowning in it. That we're drowning in it. Love, calm down. Take a little time to think about us. It's just not the same anymore, baby. I know we loved, we fought, and now we lost, but I'll never forget you. Now I think that you hate me, and I'm driving you crazy. Wish I could say forever, but maybe we're better when we're not together. I know that we have to let it go. I can see your eyes close, and I feel like we're drowning. I know that we have to let it go. Can you see my eyes close? And I feel like we're drowning in it. That we're drowning in it. That we're drowning in
I'm so sorry that I wasn't really there for me. Cause nobody else is showing any empathy. Rudely awakened, quite undertaken. Did I do something wrong? Life isn't easy. Why did you leave me here with my thoughts alone? I don't wanna wake up messed up, cause I can't spend another day like this. Another type of caked up breakup, where I've been finding any way to my fix. But I know I need you now, cause I don't wanna be around. No, I don't wanna wake up messed up. There's gotta be another way past this. I'm so sorry that I did
before we jump into the next one, here's a quick reminder for all of you mobile gamers out there. The ESL Mobile Open is just around the corner, so head over to Twitter right now and get all of those details. Tell your friends, build a team, and earn a spot in the finals.
Feel the light, see the stage, hear the vibe. Pumped up to get ready for the fight. Big dreams, one chance, be the star. I'm the winner coming out of the dark.
Step out as a motivator. Let them know that the weight's up. That's how we know when we level up. Hey, that's how we know when we level up.
Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? It's time, get up.
Back against the wall, still I'm standing tall. Know about the ball, I got my fan with me. That's how we know when we level up. Yeah, that's how we know when we level up.
Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. It's time, get up.
Well, welcome back to League of Legends' very own Wild Rift Oceanic Championship here tonight. As we had 16 teams battling it out, and as you saw on stream just before, that was our first best of 3 for round 1 on stream to cover you through all the action and get hyped and excited about some of these teams that are competing, because as it stands right now, we had a bit of a longer break, and for good reason too, because we still have another game off stream happening between Team Don't Feed and Wealth by God. And I've had a quick look at the qualifiers leading into this one. That's the first seed of Qualifier 2 taking on the first seed of Qualifier 4. So it's to be expected, Juice, that maybe some sparks would fly there.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we can't see it. We don't know how it's playing out, so your guess is as good as mine. But the games have been been very close from more reports. Obviously taking their time, and yeah, I mean, there's really not much else to say other than, you know, we
have nothing. We have nothing. We're speculating, but what I can tell you is that we do have some confirmed results. Now, at least elsewhere, as we saw the first seed before, Jacuzzi Dogs got their first 2-0. That's what we had on stream, but elsewhere, it looks like the first seeds are actually justifying that, hey, funnily enough, if you qualify first, you are actually kind of good. I see that Japan X Fan Club, they came in the third qualifier. They claimed themselves a 2-0 already as well. So elsewhere, you're just looking to try and see you know, how the rest of this pack can look to integrate. I don't see any major spoilers or upsets as of yet, but it's very hard to call them spoilers or call them upsets when you get to see the action, right? You don't know what the champions are. Could have been some spicy picks in the mix, kind of like what we mentioned before, the likes of Yi, Teemo, and Singed Ban. But I mean, we can quickly touch on that previous game once more. I mean, you know, if you're looking at a brand new title, clearly they must have a bit of MOBA experience behind them, because they didn't look like fresh players, Juice. I mean, they looked like they knew what they were about, what the objective was, what the style was, and overall what the draft was able to accomplish.
They're a team that really, you can tell they practice, right? You can tell when for me, when you're contesting objectives and contesting neutral objectives on timers, and you're making your rotations based off timers, right? It was like they're walking down at the right timing when the dragon spawns, when the Rift Herald spawns. So again, it's good to see a lot of teams, you know, particularly in this new environment, taking the game very seriously. Obviously, there's a lot at stake. It's not, you know, they're not playing for nothing. Like there's a very big kind of enticement at the end of the tunnel. You know, if you need one, obviously just being a competitor and wanting to win is a very big deal. But yeah, it's fantastic to see. And I mean, across the board, Skimmy, there's quite a few 2-0s in that round. So maybe we're seeing what teams are the ones to look out for, and unfortunately the teams we've said goodbye to. But what I mean is that, you know, are these teams on the same level? Are these teams maybe better than JD? Like, we haven't seen them play. We will see them play in round 2. But I mean, when I start to see 2-0s just trickle on through, I'm getting a little bit excited, because then they actually have to match up against each other, and then maybe, you know, it's going to be a blinder of a best of 3. It could be a 1-1 into a few long games, because obviously we saw some short games.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we're seeing games finish as quickly as, what, 9-10 minutes, right? They are just that much of a shellacking, where they're saying, look, you know, we've run the laning phase, we've got the buffs, we've got the item spikes, we're looking to end this one right here. And that's why we had the longer break, and still yet to be able to jump into round 2, because we can't actually jump into that second round until every game is completed, be it on stream or off stream. So that is the reason for the small delay here, but a bit of a breakdown. You talk about the results, looking at the standings. Across the board, the teams that have had the wins, we talked about the teams to be the favourites, be it first from their qualifiers. I'm seeing a lot of the teams that came second as well, the likes of Gamer Koala team. You're looking at He2E Gaming as an example, even TCO definitely getting themselves in there. So definitely the top two from each respective qualifier across all 4 qualifiers that happened getting us here today. Have to put in the goods. The consistency is there. It wasn't a fluke. So that's always good, Juice, because at the end of the day, given that there are 5 rounds, not everybody's going to get to verse everybody. So you're kind of hoping that luck's on your side and you don't go up against all the hard favourites, because 3 defeats, 3 eliminations, and that's you gone.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, he sometimes, unfortunately, in these tournaments, well, the way I look at it too is that a lot of people, you try and dodge the strong team, right? You try and dodge the good team early. But I'm actually like on the opposite end of the coin where because we've spectated this game and the people watching the broadcast have seen it, we'll just go back to the Jacuzzi dogs, right? Let's just say, in theory, they're one of the stronger teams of the tournament, and you expect them to be there right at the end, maybe when it comes to semifinals or wherever it is in the tournament that you're going to come up against them. Maybe, and just maybe, you want to verse them now. Because you have to beat them. It's inevitable you have to beat them if you want to win the whole thing, right? Sure. So then if that's the case, do you want to beat them now? When they don't have as many games under their belt, they're not as practiced, they don't have maybe a firm grasp on the meta. Because that's probably the time that you'll able to strike if you think that they're better than you. So again, it could be something like, hey, put us up against them and we'll see if we can snag a win very early on.
Or maybe
a little bit of fatigue sets in.
Oh, that's exactly my point there. Maybe you want them to be your last game of the night, right? Like clocking in at, say, 9-10 p.m. here today in Australia, and hoping that could be enough of a difference maker where, people are starting to think about, bedtimes and what's for dinner and, what's on the agenda for tomorrow. And, their head's not in the game, right? And you can look to try and capitalize on that and punish them and force them to try and draft something a little bit different, maybe something not necessarily in their comfort zone. But, I mean, from what we've seen so far, Jubes, it's been pretty business as usual. No surprises really with the play styles, with the sort of ideas of what's strong and what's not. It seems pretty standard in that regard. And I'm really keen to find out what the end result is going to be between these 2 teams here. Team Don't Feed and Wealth by God, they're the guys holding us right now hostage. We can't start round 2 without them, Jubes. 1-1, but if they're the first seeds from their respective qualifiers, then I'd love to get a bit of a scoop, a bit of inside goss as to what's going on in that game. I'm backtracking a little bit, and I agree with every point. I think that is the game, and I wish I could be a fly on the roof there and have a look. But the one thing I kind of wanted to break down, and I guess maybe even talk about, is we've only seen 2 games, but if you just look at those 2 games in particular, there seems to be a heavy Galio priority, right? Both teams actually drafting the Galio, so we need to keep our eyes later on into the tournament. Into the championship, is Galio going to be hot priority, a hot pick? And the other champion that we saw both games, and to be honest, had a very strong showing in the one, was the Lucian. And even someone in chat, I'm sorry because I've lost his name, but he said he agreed that Lucian is OP. So are we just going to see one of those things where it's a Lucian trade in a best of 3? Like if you play one side, you get it on that side. If you play the other, you don't get it, and you just have to come up against it. Is that's something that's going to define bot lane meta? We saw Nami in both games as well. Wasn't a contested pick, maybe more of a comfort. But again, are these kind of just player favorites? Is this what's really shaping the meta in Oceania? Right? Is it? Are these teams just taking notes from each other? Are they practicing? Are they watching that game and saying, yeah, you know what, Nami is strong? We'll have to wait and see. Second and third round is where I start to think we'll be able to define metas and really see what teams are playing, what's comfort and what's not. Because if we left it up to Jacuzzi dogs, maybe in the first game, Kraken Esports would have gotten away with the Master Yi. Yeah, for sure. And it's always been fun for me because I feel like Oceania has always had their own little take, right, on what is strong in the meta and sort of, developed to be their own. I'm sure, they can draw some inspiration from the rest of the world. And we've definitely had lots of qualifiers, the likes of Southeast Asia, Korea, America, they're all starting to come together now and get on board here for the ultimate goal, right, of a Wild Rift Worlds, if you would say. So maybe looking to try and sort of see what was strong there, how can we make it our own, and look to try and flex some of these picks. I touched on that Lucian for a second because as strong as his bot lane, we've yet to see even middle top.
Yeah, and you know, and one thing that we did see was Camille jungle, right? So again, it's like all these picks going into different positions, but we saw the power of the Camille in the jungle too, right? In terms of tempo, in terms of clearing camps, didn't really fall behind in tempo or EXP. If anything, was actually ahead of the Graves. And when it came to teamfight influence, obviously pair that with the Galio, you're just going to have such a big impact. And you know, how much research did these teams do into watching, you know, other regions in terms of, you know, in particular in the mobile game scene, Southeast Asia do so well in multiple titles, in multiple games. So like if I was a team and I was coming into this tournament, like that would be the first kind of tournament region, whatever you want to call it, that I would be watching, because that's where I think you're going to get most of your insight. They I don't know, they're just always just so good at mobile games.
Just a natural, right? A bit of a talent behind them, and it's always exciting, right? You're seeing a brand new game and getting to sort of emerge into it, and sort of seeing how things will change over time. Bit metas and patches obviously forcing it, but just players themselves getting a little bit more comfortable with what works and what doesn't, and builds that are quirky, a little bit niche, but ultimately seem to be the quote meta. I do believe we got word from our producer that we have some standings, so we can actually show you something different than our faces. As lovely as that is, we can show you where things are at. I'm not just rattling off numbers. There are things to see. So we'll bring that up in just a second. And here it is. As you can see, it is Team Don't Feed. We're still waiting to complete the game up against Wealth by God. But we mentioned a few of them before, right? The likes of who had finished first and second in their qualifiers. I'm looking at Jacuzzi. I'm looking at ATM. ATM actually a little bit of an upset, right? They've fallen on down there. They finished second in their first qualifier. TCO getting their victory. Happy days for them. You're looking down, and yeah, P2E Gaming, I say, is another one. Gamer Koala. And this is, once again, I mean, it seems a little bit repetitive, but it's kind of that case of were you good on the day, or are you actually just good as a whole? Is the consistency there? Do you have a strong grasp on what you think is good, or was Lady Luck on your side? Did you perhaps have the better internet on the day? Look, we've had our problems with Oceanic internet, haven't we? I mean, it's not unreasonable to put that into contention.
Well, I was about to say, I unironically think, you know, when it comes to the mobile game circuit, it's also like, where are you playing? Like, because you have the flexibility to play anywhere, and I think that's why, like, these games are so good, and Wild Rift is such a standout performer in terms of the mobile game scene, because you can play anywhere, Skibby. So it's like, you know, unfortunately, has he played this one in the office? Has he or she played this one in the office after work? Like, they just decided not to drive home, and playing it there almost comes down to a little bit of comfort. But I mean, we saw some fans in chat from these teams too. I saw a bit of Japan X fan club members in the chat. So, I mean, if you're in the chat right now, feel free to let us know which team you're supporting, and we'll try to highlight them, focus on them, see what's going on, and how they're doing on the Wild Rift.
Yeah, give us your inside scoop. I did see a few of the other boys in chat before. Big fan club, right, for the side of the Kraken Esports. Lots of fans in chat cheering them on. I saw the likes of Josh P XD getting rowdy about it. I know a few others at the time. I've got to scroll on up. I've got to try and find what I can see. But, you know, we're scrolling up, and sometimes chat gets away from me. But I saw a lot of fans in there. I was getting excited because of that one. They were getting excited too because it was a bit of a rematch from this qualifiers back into this. But, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, guys. We are still waiting. We're being held hostage by those final two teams to close out round number one. We can't start the action. We can't get some Wild Rift on your screens for you to digest, to enjoy, and get excited about until that one gets finished there. Juves, I see you smirking there in the corner of your face. Have you picked out anything? Anything?
No, I scrolled really far up. I scrolled really far up, and just people talking about other game titles and whatnot. I was trying to find some substance, but there was no substance there. A lot of fans were hiding in the wind. But
we have Stallion Dave, don't we? I mean, what a hero he is.
Yeah, he's a champion. But you know, Skimmy, what team do you reckon we're going to watch in round 2, or what team would you like to watch in round 2?
I want to watch one of these top dogs, mate. I want to see.
I tell you who I want to watch. I want to watch.
Yeah,
I want to watch Japan X, because they had a few fans in the chat. There was a few good things said about that team, and I think you know, they might have the goods, right? The way I look at it, it's like if your team has fans, you got to be doing something right, and you know, maybe they have the reputation that they've built in the solo queue ladder. So we'll have to wait and see. But again, waiting for this match to finish. not wanting to end this one quick, right? I mean, that kind of just goes to show how evenly or how close these two teams are. And I mean, it's the closest series of the round. And it's been 2-0s across the board, aside from those two. So now,
yeah,
I mean, you could look at it two ways. Do you look at it as like maybe they're just two teams that have each other's number, or are they the two most dominant teams? And unfortunately, we don't get to see the other one, right? Like could just be an early goodbye, an early bow out. So it's always going to be those questions that we're going to ask. But you know, once we get the result, I'm sure we'll be able to see who the powerhouse was in that game. You know, who are the players to focus on, and particularly what drafts were they playing.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a good point you mentioned, because we did have that perfect 2-0 to start off the night here, and really, if you're looking at the qualifiers, the road to get here, there were a whole host of 2-0s. There was only really a handful, maybe 5 or 6 at most, 2-1s that really went down to the wire to try and determine it. So much so that actually Japan X Fan Club in qualifier number 2 bowed out in the first round. They got knocked out 2-1, so they had to run it back, and ultimately came back in the next qualifier and claimed the first seed. So I guess it goes back to our original point at the top of show, right? It is kind of the luck on your side as to how the Swiss format favors you. You mentioned, could it be a case of, you know, versing those strong teams now, or do you wait until the end of the day when maybe a little bit of fatigue kicks in? As for us, we've got ourselves another timer, because that must mean that the game is not too far away from closing. So after this one, we'll be back in 10 minutes and we'll be able to kick off round number 2.
Before we jump into the next one, here's a quick reminder for all of you mobile gamers out there. The ESL Mobile Open is just around the corner, so head over to Twitter right now and get all of those details. Tell your friends, build a team, and earn a spot in the finals.
Feel the light, see the stage, hear the vibe. Pumped up to get ready for the fight. Big dreams, one chance, be the star. I'm the winner coming out of the dark.
Step out as a motivator. Let them know that the weight's up. That's how we know when we level up. Hey, that's how we know when we level up.
Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? It's time, get up.
Back against the wall, still I'm standing tall. Know about the ball, I got my fan with me. That's how we know when we level up. Yeah, that's how we know when we level up.
Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. It's time, get up.
Seeing the stars reminds me of you. You left me with scars, but I know that one day you'll see it through. You give me air to breathe, you give me light to see. Oh, when things are out of reach, you bring them back to me, back to me. You see it through, you see it through, eh. You see it through, you see it through. Talking to myself and I can't focus. Yeah, I'm broken. The door is closing. Wanna be a part of something more than this. I've lost control of it. I've lost control. You give me air to breathe. You give me light to see. Oh, when things are out of reach, you bring them back to me, back to me. You see it through, you see it through, eh. You see it through, you see
I've been with you for as long as I can remember, and you stood by me and held up my head. But it's getting hard to say that I am not a pretender. No, I don't wanna leave any words unsaid. Now I think that you hate me, and I'm driving you crazy. Wish I could stay forever, but maybe we're better when we're not together. I know that we have to let it go. I can see your eyes close, and I feel like we're drowning. I know that we have to let it go. Can you see my eyes close? And I feel like we're drowning in it. That we're drowning in it. That we're drowning in it. Love, calm down. Take a little time to think about us. It's just not the same anymore, baby. I know we loved, we fought, and now we lost, but I'll never forget you. Now I think that you hate me, and I'm driving you crazy. Wish I could stay forever, but maybe we're better when we're not together. I know that we have to let it go. I can see your eyes close, and I feel like we're drowning. I know that we have to let it go. Can you see my eyes close? And I feel like we're drowning in it. That we're drowning in
I'm so sorry that I wasn't really there for me. Cause nobody else is showing any empathy. Rudely awakened, quite undertaken. Did I do something wrong? Isn't easy, why did you leave me here with my thoughts alone? I don't wanna wake up messed up, cause I can't spend another day like another type of caked up breakup, where I've been finding any way to my fix. But I need you now, cause I don't wanna be around. No, I don't wanna wake up messed up. There's gotta be another way past this. I'm so sorry that I didn't go to therapy, thinking everybody, even you's an enemy. Brutally awakened, quite undertaken. Did not do nothing wrong. Life isn't easy. Why did you leave me here to get drunk alone? And I don't wanna wake up messed up, cause I can't spend another day like this. Another type of caked up breakup, where I've been finding any way to my fix. But I need you now, cause I don't wanna be around. No, I don't wanna wake up messed up. There's gotta be another way past this. I'm so sorry that I didn't go to therapy, thinking everybody, even you's an enemy. Brutally awakened, quite undertaken. Did not do nothing wrong. Life isn't easy. Why did you leave me here to get drunk alone? And I don't wanna wake up messed up, cause I can't spend another day like this. Another type of caked up breakup, where I've been finding any way to my fix. But I need you now, cause I don't wanna be around. No, I don't wanna wake up messed up. There's gotta be another way past this. If I am so wrong and so gone, miserable, won't you stick around just for some be visible? But you don't, no you don't, can't leave me to suffer. Erase all the doubt, pouring Jack in my mouth. In a love with enough of the pain and the drugs to be present for now. All I'm right now, I don't wanna wake up messed up, cause I can't spend another day like this. Another type of caked up breakup, where I've been finding any way to my fix. But I need you now, cause I don't wanna be
pretend to like you. I hope you feel the same. I take a chance and not lose. I can't pretend to like you. It's just I never thought you were sitting next to me. I don't understand. It's just I never seen you smile. You wanna make out, give me a second. It's just you never talk, I never listen. When do we fall in love? Make up your mind, honey, 'cause I can't pretend to like you. I hope you feel the same. I take a chance and not lose. I can't pretend to like you. I can't pretend to like you. I hope you feel the same. I take a chance and not lose. I can't pretend to like you. You need a friend. I can't help this time. I'm in trouble. It's your eyes again.
Before we jump into the next one, here's a quick reminder for all of you mobile gamers out there. The ESL Mobile Open is just around the corner, so head over to Twitter right now and get all of those details. Tell your friends, build a team, and earn a spot in the finals.
Feel the lights, see the stage, hear the vibe. Pumped up to get ready for the fight. Big dreams, one chance, be the star. I'm the winner coming out of the dark.
Step out as a motivator. Let them know that the weight's up. That's how we know when we level up. Ay, that's how we know when we level up.
Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? It's time, get up.
Back against the wall, still I'm standing tall. Know about the ball, I got my fan with me. That's how we know when we level up. Yeah, that's how we know when we level up.
Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. It's time, get up.
Welcome back. Here we go. It's game number 2, or round number 2, I should really say. That's what we're getting ourselves amped up and ready to participate in. My name is Skimmy, and Juves is here alongside me as we get excited to see what the action could bring us, because we've only had one game to really digest, understand, get a bit of an understanding as to how OS likes to play a bit of Wild Rift.
And the I guess the way to summarize that we like to play the game is just team fight. It's just fight. Just get down to the dragon, dip your head in there, and have a skirmy. Obviously not the closest of games that we had in the first one, so very hard to determine, you know, I guess meta, playstyle, what teams are going to opt in for. We did have a 3-game blinder, which kind of put the halts on this show. You know, we had to wait around for that one to finish. So again, that'll be interesting to break down. But I believe we're going to head towards the standings, Skimmy.
Yep, I believe we do have that available to now show you guys. So the game that we're waiting for before has now concluded. It was Team Don't Feed and Wealth by God. And well, there you see, Team Don't Feed come out ahead on the 3rd game and claim the series as their own in round number 1. So congratulations to them. As we recap now what a completed round 1 standings look like. So bear in mind, guys, the stakes are pretty much high. It's 16 teams here participating tonight. They've all qualified and they're all hoping that they can make it to the next stage, because you've got 2 borders, or you've got 2 sides to this leaderboard so far, Jubes. By the end of the night, just chop it in half, because only 8 will remain.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the standings that big anyway, so getting rid of half's fine by me. And like you said, Team Don't Feed, they did not feed, because if they fed, they would have lost. So sometimes, you know, it's simple. All you need in your name is a little bit of simplicity. Just name it after what you don't want to do in game.
Okay, I mean, maybe that's the case, right? You know, look good with the skins, but also look good with the team name. Perhaps the logo, throw that one in there and bring it all together. And recipe for success. I do believe also we know what our next matchup is going to be, which is kind of exciting. So we can look here, and as you can see highlighted in the green bottom left corner, it's going to be the Chosen One taking on No Honor, both of which are looking to continue their success in this tournament so far, because both already in round 1 picked up a victory.
They did, and I mean, Skimmy, just to backtrack, the thing that's really caught my eye in this round 2, of course, is Team Don't Feed Jacuzzi Dogs. Obviously, Team Don't Feed coming off that long game, but now they're up against the big dogs, the Jacuzzi Dogs.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a big test for them, right? We can now start to understand, right? You've gone through a bit of a banger in that previous round, but how do you start to stack up? And we'll get a bit of a picture, even though we won't be able to actually watch all these games on stream. We'll be able to start putting together the pieces of the puzzle and getting a bit of a bird's eye view and understanding from the shadows as to what this all means. And maybe in a couple of rounds' time, a bit of understanding of who we might actually see move on through. As you see, though, Chosen One up against No Honor. One of these teams will get their first defeat here tonight. And if they are already in hot form, then I'm keen to see who between the two of them is the hottest. Because you look at these two in terms of their road to get here, and No Honor just managed to squeeze in that 4th and final qualifier, whereas TCO, they came through in that 2nd qualifier nice and early in July. They claimed 2nd. They were undefeated until, in fact, they took on Team Don't Feed. So digest it how you want, cycle it all through what we've just mentioned. And here's the roster. Starting up in the top lane, it is none other than the Drunkard. Jungle is Ganker. Joker will be playing